Hello, YouTube. I'm making another video. This Christmas, I got a PS3, and I got it for several reasons because many games have come out, but recently I really wanted to get into the Uncharted games, so I picked those up for the PS3. And this is mostly a review of the second game, but I'm going to talk about the first one because I feel like that should be explained before going into the second one. Basically, the first one came out, I think, 2007. It was like it got good reviews. It was a good game. I mean, I liked it. Had a good story, solid voice acting. There were a few problems with it, like it was a little repetitive. Basically, you went from one gunfight to the next, did a platforming section, and it basically just repeated the entire game in no specific order. But it was still a solid game. The second one is really good. That's the first thing I'm just gonna say about it. It basically took the first one, and much like it with Assassin's Creed, it just improved all the things I didn't like about the first one. The story is great. It's basically like Indiana Jones ish, like treasure hunter going to get treasure, and stuff happens along the way. It improved upon the first one. It has better controls. They don't feel as they feel more natural. Because in the first one, I think you had to press the X button every time you wanted to climb up. This one, you sort of hold up on the D-pad, and you just continue climbing up. The production values for this game are extremely high. Like, the graphics are gorgeous. Some of the best, probably the best graphics I've seen on any game this generation. The voice acting is fantastic. Very good voice acting. It basically feels like a movie, except you can play it. It's very exciting. Like, there's parts in the game where you're climbing on like a beam from building to building in the middle of a city, and there's a helicopter shooting at you. It just feels like something you would want in an action movie, but you're actually playing it. Like, the game opens up where you're on a derailed train hanging off the side of a cliff in the mountains, and you gotta climb up. That's just a tutorial of the game. It's fantastic. It's just got a very exciting gameplay. They made the shooting better. In the first one, you shot some enemies, had lots of health. You'd shoot them a bunch of times, and they would do this weird dodge motion where they just sort of duck to the left or to the right, and it would make them more difficult to shoot. But that kind of just got annoying and frustrating about halfway through the game. In this one, it's just you shoot them and they die, but they still have enough health, and it's still challenging enough to do a decent challenge. It's not as structured as the last one. It's not just like gunfight, platforming. They kind of mix the two, like where you do platforming, and while you're doing that, you have to shoot at enemies. Like, you can hang from ledges and still shoot. You can even this game you can even kind of pull Assassin's Creed kind of things where you can actually stealth kill people. Like, they didn't have that in the first one. You could sneak up on people and do some of the combat, but in this one it's more like you can actually go to an area where you're supposed to shoot up people, but before you actually want to kill anyone, you can just go through and stealth take down a good amount of them and actually use strategy in the battles. And the other one, it was more like you go to an area, you're automatically sort of seen, and you just have to keep fighting, and more enemies arrive, and you keep fighting. This one's just like you defeat all the enemies in the area. You can either use stealth or you can just go in there guns blazing. It gives you more variety. The gameplay, it just works really well. The controls are good, and the animation is much not. And the other one, I would say it's kind of stiff, where you'd run up you try to run up a wall, and your character would kind of do a little awkward stiff jump. This one, it just feels more fluid. Like, when you jump from a ledge to a different ledge in this, the character will flail his arms, and it just feels more natural. And the other one he just sort of leapt and would land. This, it just feels all together. I'm a big sucker for games with a good story, and they don't have to be overly complex, but the story was very simple. It had its twists and turns. It was very entertaining, and it was very well integrated into the gameplay. It's not like other games where, Borderlands, where it's basically you just have a story. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's just sort of like a means to do things. This one the gameplay is just sort of an extension of the story, where when you're doing things in gameplay, it's advancing the story. It's not just you're not going from cutscene to cutscene. You're actually advancing the story in between the cutscenes, and they're just more there to enhance the game. I said in my other video that Assassin's Creed 2 was Game of the Year for me. This one, I've had a tough decision. I'm not sure which one I would consider Game of the Year, but I have to say it's a tie. That's kind of a cop-out, but I don't really care I don't really care. And so I'd say Game of the Year for 2009 would be a tie between Assassin's Creed 2 and Uncharted 2. If I were to give this game a rating, I'd probably give it 9.5 out of 10. not quite a 10 because it still had a little bit of flaws to it. It was really good. It's as close to perfect as I want in a game.